A master, if he's a perfect living master, he's seeing you in your totality, himself in his totality, and there is no difference in the two. Look at the viewpoint. Look at what the viewpoint of a master of that kind would be. When we come across such a person, he's looking at us and looking at the world. Imagine what he's seeing. He's seeing oneness. He's seeing himself. He's seeing how the show has been set up. He sees how different individuated souls created to experience different points of view of the same consciousness are operating, and how some are ready to go back to the totality, some are still working here. He sees that. Therefore, when we come across a person like that, and he says, I accept you. Your name is on my list. As a human being, I've come here, I had a limited list. Because I didn't come for trillions and trillions of souls who are scattered in the universe. I came for a limited number who were ready. I came with that. Other human beings will come. They've always come. Human beings will always come endowed with this capacity of retaining their total consciousness, and they will be called perfect living masters, and they'll pick up the souls that are on their list. They're marked souls. They are like a shepherd come to collect his marked sheep. It's like that. So therefore, when a person who's a perfect living master comes and accepts him, we call that acceptance initiation. We say to get initiated by a perfect living master is the greatest thing that can happen. I believe that. I believe there is no event in human life or any life that can compare with this. I don't know any event whatsoever that compare with a perfect living master, with that consciousness coming into our life and saying, I accept you for initiation. Changes everything. It has changed everything from that moment. Your life has undergone the biggest possible change. You are no longer bound by the laws of karma. You're no longer bound by anything that attaches you here. Everything is now being governed by totality of consciousness operating through a master who then manifests in your local consciousness, even in your physical consciousness. He manifests. And on a daily basis, we begin to see events happening in outside show. This must be the hand of the master. This is a miracle happening for me. That's a great coincidence that happened. Even little things like that keep on happening, and we attribute it to the master because he is now involved. He's got totally involved. He has taken you out of the normal laws of karma. You have a huge accumulation of karma. I sometimes mention to you how big the reserve we have built of karma over centuries and centuries of reincarnation, and that can create millions of future lives. When a perfect living master initiates you, he burns and destroys all that reserve karma. There is no reserve karma to create any future lives. So therefore the very law which sustains and perpetuates this universe is being broken at that time. And you have only a few karma of this life left. And the few decisions you are making with your mind, with your so-called free will in this life, that's the only karma left. It's a very big change. And then after that, you say, I am going to do my duty, I am going to do these things. The master says, why worry? I have accepted you. I'll do all that for you. Do you know that if you are initiated by a perfect living master, and you say, Master, now I'm initiated, do everything for me. I want to do nothing. He'll do it for you. Everything that you can think of, conceive of, he can do. The mind doesn't accept it. The mind and our external circumstances don't accept it. We keep on saying, Master, I want to do it, give me help. I can do a little bit, you'd give me some support in this. Master says, go ahead. Okay, whatever you think you can do, go ahead. It's so difficult for us to surrender in the early stages of our experiences on the spiritual path, to surrender to a power that has taken over control, that has taken over responsibility, that has taken over everything. And therefore, as time grows and you discover that what you're trying to do, what your struggle is, what your duties are, and you are performing them, behind that, the master is putting his hand, okay, you need a little push here, give you a little push here. You have to go through some karma, old karma, but only for this life. all right, I'll help you. If it is too hard, let me know. I'll try to wangle some little elements of it and change it. It's a great relationship. Do you know, I have not found any greater relationship of two friends except one, a disciple and his master. They're the best of friends. There is no real friendship like that. A friendship where you feel that you stand for each other. A friendship where you feel you are at the same level and equal. It's the most beautiful relationship. One of my colleagues who was a disciple of great master, beautiful man, he was a veterinary doctor. I tell you his stories many times. In smaller groups one day I will tell you more stories. His name was Dr. Ishwar Singh. He came to the conclusion, after wonderful experiences with his master, he came to the conclusion that a perfect living master becomes a friend first, master next, not the other way around. Don't think that he's a master first and then he becomes friendly. Not at all. He says he's a friend first, then he reveals he's a master. So therefore this friendship, that the feeling that you can do things common, you can share in each other's work. He reduces his work. A perfect living master comes and start working in this world. He can run. One master was weaving all his life. Amongst his disciples were rich multimillionaires who said, give up the weaving loom. You don't need it. He said, I need it. I need it to work with people who are working in the same way. Another one was a cobbler, mending shoes. He remained a cobbler and kings were sitting at his feet and following him. He says, you don't need, you can come to our palace and live there. No, it's necessary for me to be a cobbler because I have to be friends with people who only can accept me as a cobbler, not in the royal palace. The masters come and engage themselves in activities in the physical world which match the activities of their disciples. And therefore they become friends. So this friendship is so important. Therefore, this path is a path of love and devotion and friendship. It gives you an experience of true friendship, gives you experience of true love. It gives you experience of unconditional love, which is otherwise extremely rare. I can't find it. I go, people say we are, what do they call it? They call themselves soul mates. We are one soul. We became soul mates and we found true love. And after 3 months, they are in a divorce court. And I say, what happened to the soulmate stuff? Though we knew from day one we were not made for each other. But that's the day when you told me you are soulmates. What happens? We discover that the mind creates doubt, the mind creates fear all the time in every relationship, including with the master. How can you rely upon that mind to discover the truth about love and devotion? Therefore, it's the master's unconditional love that awakens in us that response that we can recognize that there is something more real than we have ever known, and that reality is beyond our minds. I have given you these stories because they arise from my experience. I am not giving you a single story from a book, except I did quote a couple of things. But the fact that perfect living masters function like this is based upon my experience with a man, human being, a white-haired man. He called the great master. It's the experience with that man that makes all this possible for me. I have no doubt that if this has been made possible for me, an ordinary person like me, in ordinary circumstances, where I came from, where I grew up, what I've gone through, I look back upon my life, and if one ordinary person with a white beard can do this to me, I am quite sure it can do to all of you if you come across a perfect living master with your own seeking in your own heart. You don't have to shout. To get to a perfect living master, don't have to shout, it's all internal. Just be intense with your seeking. Say, Master, I am done with this. I am done with this messy stuff that we call life here. And I want to move on. I want to move on to more real things. Master, I don't know where the ultimate reality is. I want to move at least one step forward. Ultimately, take me where you are. And the master will take you exactly where he is. A master never takes you, a perfect living master never takes you to a level below himself. If he comes from totality of consciousness, he'll put you in touch with totality of consciousness. If you merely follow his ordinary instructions in this physical life, he'll take you right within this life. If you have problems and difficulties because of your mind and your excuses, I have other problems, it's very difficult to do it, he may give you another chance, but he will take you back to the same level where he belongs. If you are on the spiritual path, if you are really on the spiritual path, I can tell you one other thing, a secret. You can never be alone. If you are initiated by a perfect living master and has followed simple instructions to manifest the presence of that master within you, which we call manifesting the radiant form of the master within. If you can do that much, you can never be alone. You're always at the company of the master. It's a beautiful, and you will have the company in the same way like you have the physical world, even more than that. You travel together, you talk to each other, you have all kind of beautiful experiences together, you fly wherever you like together, no aeroplanes needed. There are so many things one does just by having a perfect living master in one's life. And you all fly in the upper skies, in the regions that lie beyond the physical skies. And they're all available to you. They just represent different levels of consciousness. This world is not created in one level. It's been created, it's almost like you open up one, the another one opens up. It's like the peeling of the onion. You keep on taking off, there's something else inside it. You take one cover off, there's another one. This world is created like that. The physical world is merely one thing. You withdraw your attention from the physical world, put it inside you in the seat of consciousness, from where everything is being experienced, just go back there, get rid of the awareness of this world, another one opens up. Different, more wonderful than this. And you withdraw from there, open up, another world opens up. Ultimately, you can keep on doing this endlessly, in the company of a master, in the company of one who knows that route of opening layers of consciousness. You go with them, ultimately you come to the total reality where there was no two, no one, there was no number. It was just totality of consciousness in which the show of creation took place, with the show of being conscious took place. And that's the ultimate aim of these perfect living masters, to take anyone who's initiated by them to that level of reality. Once you have that reality, it doesn't mean that you lost other levels. Indeed, you have got all the levels if you reach that reality. If you are following a meditational program of a perfect living master, he tells you to go stage by stage. You withdraw your attention from here, shut off this experience, become unaware of the physical world in your own body where consciousness is operating, open up another world. Step one. When you have that experience, you're not having experience of this physical world. It's just like a dream state. When you go to sleep at night, you cut off the experience of this physical world. You go to bed, close your eyes, and you go into a dream state, which is another world opening up. At that time, in the dream, you're running around, you're doing things. You're not aware that you're lying in a bed sleeping. You cut off the awareness of the wakeful state because you've gone into dream state. Similarly, when you withdraw your attention from the wakeful state by a deliberate process of not going to sleep, but opening up another world, you go into a state of a world which is very different, follows different laws. Laws of time and space are different. Laws of gravity don't apply. Many laws of the physical universe don't apply. It's a different kind of life there, and yet highly populated place with a bigger time span of creation than you have here. The Big Bang has not affected that state. Therefore, you go into another world. But while you are in that world, this is not there. You have withdrawn from it. You can go to another world, still higher than that, into a world where all the concepts came up from, where the whole beginning of this creation of the mind took place. It's a separate world altogether. You have left the physical world, you left that astral sensory world and opened up a new one. It's a separate world. But while you are in that world, you don't have any access to the physical world. You have withdrawn yourself from here. You go still higher, go beyond the mind, and you discover that you are pure consciousness. You are the soul. The rest was all created to help you to have experience,